We are letting everyone fold in here, but I would like to give a warm-hearted welcome to everyone here. My name is Heather McIntosh, she, her. I am the co-president of the Alliance for Women Film Composers, and this is a wonderful, monumental get-together that we have here with incredible songwriters. And I am just so thrilled to celebrate you and your nominations on the short list. Amelia Warner, welcome. You wrote a beautiful lush score for The Young Woman and the Sea, and we're just so happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for having me.
Amelia, what was your process like? What was your entry point to the roller coaster of this film?
Um, yeah, it was so I think I read the script and was just kind of blown away that I didn't know about Trudy Edderly before, and I hadn't heard her story, and I didn't know, that she was the first woman to swim the channel, and I didn't know that the impact that that had, and how and how much she kind of changed sport for women. And so I think once I read the script and the screenplay was incredible, I just desperately wanted to be part of telling that story.
Yeah.
And so I met with the filmmakers, and and that's really what we talked about, was just how has this woman been kind of forgotten in time? Like, why do we not know her name? I have
Yeah.
three daughters, and I just felt like this is the film I want to take them to see. This is the kind of story that, when I went to the cinema when I was growing up, I saw those were the films that I saw, those kind of inspirational, defying the odds kind of underdog stories. And so it was just amazing to be part of that, and to work with Jerry Bruckheimer, who again is, so many of the films that I grew up watching, he
Right.
produced, and he's incredible about finding these people who have been lost in history and kind of bringing their stories back.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. So I'm going to get into a little bit about some nonfiction work that we have here. Both we have two like sports films on this project, and with it's crazy in that way. So for I was wondering for Amelia, when you were trying to find the sound for this, you also had, it's a period piece also. It's did you have conversations about how much you were going to lean into the time and space, or did you uh how did you find the color? What were your choices there? Did it just come naturally? Were you like, we found it?
Um, Not quite, but I think initially, it became apparent very quickly that it wasn't going to stay in the kind of period, and it to kind of keep it in those constraints wasn't going to work,
Yeah.
because it needed to feel more contemporary, and it needed to feel I knew that I wanted the score to have this kind of punch to it, and to feel like bombastic, and to have a
Yeah.
real to just punch through. And I knew that to do that I would need different elements. And I
Mhm.
think what was really interesting was kind of, I think the early ideas that I had and the first themes that I wrote were probably a lot more ethereal and kind of watery, to be honest, because I
Yeah.
was thinking of the water, and I was thinking of Daisy, and I was writing this kind of very, beautiful music, I guess. And I remember one of my first meetings with Jerry, and he was just like, she's an athlete, and this is a sports movie. And it was like actually interesting to challenge myself into my own conditioning, I suppose, because it's like, well, why was I writing this
Mhm.
score in this way? Because actually, if it was a man swimming the channel, if it was a man doing what she did, I that's not the music I'd be writing. So I kind of almost felt like it was a bit of a slap around the face, and it was a great moment, because I just thought, yeah, why am I doing that? And after that meeting, I felt a lot more confident about just kind of pushing those boundaries, and actually writing something that felt that was more befitting of a sports movie, and that had that propulsion, and had that, I guess, just slightly more aggressive, and slightly more and a boldness, and a strength, and then I became much more interested in finding the strength in her, and um, and just conveying what she did and how hard it was. So yeah, so it was definitely a journey, and it
Yeah.
took a minute to get there. But I think once I kind of had that sound and once we had that first kind of racing theme, it felt
Yeah.
like everything started to come together.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because it is. She's a she was like pushing against so much the
Yeah,
whole time, like
yeah.
even her other women peers were, or young women peers, young girl, her first swimming opportunities, like they're just like, ah, you don't know what you're doing. She had so many versions of that. And to be able to just, punch
Yeah,
through it.
and the first time she swam, the first time she finally got permission, she had to prove herself so many times. And then when she finally got funding and permission to make the first attempt, she was sabotaged by her coach because essentially the American Sports Association did not want a woman to succeed in this because it kind of completely went against their narrative of what women were capable of at the time. So no one wanted her to do this, that everybody was against it. So she didn't, she had to do it twice, really,
Yeah.
which is so she was badass and she was tough and she was strong. And I think that it became really important for the music to really
Yeah.
embody that.
That's great.
I think that there is something in that I suppose I would want to tell myself as well, previously, which was just that thing of don't try and kind of nail it. Don't try and get it. Don't try and grab, like just have an openness and have space and just like whatever you do, it doesn't have to be perfect or final. It doesn't have to hit every moment. It doesn't have, but that just finding the essence of something and keeping that space and not overwriting it. Because I think it's always that there's always that keenness to kind of to just keep writing and keep refining and actually just trying to maintain and retain that space, that openness, and just having a quality and a authentic feeling and response to something is enough actually and has value. And I think that having that your response to something is so unique to you and you're the only person who's going to respond in that way. And it's, I guess, realizing the value of that and actually just knowing that that's enough and that to feel something and to respond to something is enough, and all the other stuff you can fix later.